Yes, I know. Don't it look good? This might get posted before the other one does, but I did this recently, like legitimately after I posted Charlotte's, like the thing that I was like, I'm gonna go make poor life decisions in Charlotte's video. This is what that was. But I'm a blueberry now. But today's arc, because this is an arc, a part of our arcathon, as I lovingly dubbed it on Instagram, is Behind the Iron Gate. And I'm going to mispronounce her last name so badly, and I'm so sorry in advance. But it's by Alison Carr Wachter. I believe that is how that's pronounced. If that is not, I'm so sorry. But Miss Allison is giving us a lot. Because Behind the Iron Gate is a standalone sequel to the Immortal Orders, which is a trilogy. But Behind the Iron Gate can be read independently, which is what I'm doing. Because I probably had time to read the other three before this one, but I didn't do it. Behind the Iron Gate is 473-ish pages. It's got about 46 chapters, and it comes out May 5th, 2026. So, with that in mind, the man's stirring up trouble, apparently. Can we, for a moment, take a look at this cover again? That is some beautiful artwork, ma'am. Like, legitimately. And then the art, just in general, is phenomenal. Like, I don't know who your artist is, but, like, we love it. And then the dedication. For all the sad, angry, sexy, smart babes. This is all a lot, isn't it? Why, yes, Allison, it is. It is. So, with that being said, I'm going to start yapping about this book. Okay. So, we're going to start out with, so right after like the title page, she gives us a what came before. It's essentially just a brief understanding of what happened in the trilogy before this, which I fucking love, by the way, because for people like me who didn't read the original trilogy, this helps give context. A lot of it, actually, because she doesn't spoil anything. She just gives enough information for you to be aware of, like, hey, this is what happened. This is what is mostly relevant to the story. Have fun. Which was enlightening, actually. And then the content warnings are on her page, her website, and I will link that. Below. But she gives us a lot, actually. So when you go into her books and you select the Immortal Orders, right, you get the information from the first, second, and third book. And then she's got an omnibus of all three of them. And then another sequel. And then this is the book that we're talking about. So, trigger warnings, they will be up on screen. I'm going to read them. A brief description of animal abuse and neglect. Brief descriptions of previous child abuse. Gore and fantasy violence. Mentions of previous suicidal ideation and attempted suicide, not described in detail. Descriptions of past partner abuse, both physical and emotional. Brief descriptions of torture. Vivid descriptions of anxiety, depression, trauma, and sensory issues. Descriptions of structural oppression. brief mention of terrorist bombings, some specifically targeted at schools, extremely limited descriptions of fat phobia and homophobia, aka these concepts are nearly non-existent on Alkairos, if I mispronounced that, I'm so sorry, and do not exist in the same way they do in real life. And then descriptions of vampiric biting, both consensual and non-consensual. That was kind of a mouthful, but they needed to be read. Hello. Thank you. So, like I said, the website will be in the description. Now, getting into the actual material of the book, we start out with her like on a seawall or like sea stairs, and she meets this mythical creature. And she's like not really sure why it's there because it's supposed to actually be a myth. It's not supposed to be real, but here we are. So the creature gives her like riddles, and then as soon as it like flies away, she forgets all of this. So we're really intrigued on how that's gonna go. And then her family is pretty well known in the city that she's in, right? So she goes to finish her degree off in a different state or city. I think it's just a city. But regardless, she moves away. And she's like, I really kind of want to be anonymous. Like, I don't want to be attached to my family name like that. Like, hello? But she gets there, and I don't think she realized or expected this level of isolation to the point that she gets bullied. And it's... Yes, she asked to be anonymous. She did not ask to get through put. Like, yeah. And then at one point I'm like, please tell me this is a vampire and werewolf romance. It's not. It's not. I just momentarily forgot she was just a witch. She comes from a werewolf pack. So there's that. And then, so because this is dual POV, we get Vivi, or Viviana's perspective, and we also get Casimir's, which is the vampire prince. And he's talking about how he needs to convince the city that he's the prince that they expect him to be. And I'm like, sir, why do you need to do that? Sir. Because apparently his father and grandfather before him were kind of assholes. So he thinks that he needs to be an asshole to kind of gain their respect a little bit. But he's not an asshole. Spoiler alert, I'm like 26% or so into this book by the time I'm recording this. So, but he's essentially fucking his way around to try and act like his father and grandfather. And then Miss Allison gives us a very powerful quote, actually. He goes, so much for heroes. This world wasn't made for them. If only villains got things done, then it was my job to become the worst of them. He's essentially just saying, I can't play a hero to get what I want. I have to be the villain to get what I want. Which is really fucking weird. And it calls, like, my mind kind of goes to Epic the Musical, where Poseidon sings, The line between naivety and hopefulness is almost invisible. And it's like those two combined, I'm like getting the sense that he's like, Cass has not given me any kind of naive vibes, but I digress. My next note is quite literally, they want them to stay away from each other, but obviously that's not happening. The book is about these two bitches. Obviously that's not happening. Otherwise, we would not have a story. Uh, so Cass, right? So we have Vivi, who is our FMC, and Cass, who is our MMC. Cass just wants to bring change to a specific line of vampires. And apparently he was successful in other places, but now he has to be successful with his own clan. I love that for you, sir. And I also love that you have your best friend like right beside you. So then he goes on and he goes, I had no intention of forcing anyone to speak, but manipulating him and to think I might, that wasn't beyond my moral compass. Because he's talking about how he doesn't want to use his manipulation to like make them do what he wants. He wants them to do that willingly. And I was like, oh yes, let them think you're tough shit. Understood. Like, yes, he could do it. He could. But he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to be his father or his grandfather. But that's the thing. Everybody expects him to be. So, and the fact that it is a mutual attraction on fucking sight. Somebody sedate me. And then I pulled all of those feelings that have flooded me weren't ones I could act on. This woman, this witch, was forbidden. And then I'm like, oh, I'm fucking sad. Give me more. Give me. Because in the parts that I have read, the staying away from each other, that has not worked. Not one bit. And I'm here for it. Because it's like so natural between the two of them, and neither one of them are realizing it. And I'm like half sure that Viviana is like she's got the tism, I think. Just based on how she like thinks and her monologue and the way that she acts. So we love that, first of all. But she's very much I need the evidence type of person. Feelings have no evidence, ma'am. I don't know what to tell you. Hi. My mic died last night, so here we are. To continue on my tangent here, he bought a replacement cake, but then he also bought a bouquet of peonies that reminded him of her. Delicate and a bit strange, but surprisingly substantial. Brother, the bar is in hell, and you're superseding it because you met her 10 minutes ago. And we already have a flower in mind? Uh-huh. And then I literally have, the plot is already plotting. Like, shit's happening. And I also put, hang on. Sable, my dear. Okay. Oh. Anyway, the next thing is I love how she's coming across as not socially aware. Like, I could see Vivi being on the spectrum. Actually, I can see both of them being on the spectrum. Um, because she's like, I'm she's like, I need the hard evidence to back up my stuff. And like, there's a couple of conversations that are like, um, why are you looking at her like that? Or why are you doing this? Or why are you doing that? Like, she's a very much like logical thinker. Um, and she's already picked him apart. Like in the screenshot, she's like already like, oh, so what if he's putting on an act? And like a few pages earlier in the book, he was wanting somebody to see through him. So, like, the fact that the person you just met can already see through you. Um, they're so fucking awkward with each other though, and I love it. I love it. He's like, I think one of the points in question is like they were looking at each other, and it was like, mm-hmm. Like conversation wise, like, and I really loved that because it's it's not an insta love where you're like immediately attached to them and like conversation is easy. These are two people that like are both considered a bit strange. And I love that it kind of flows into how they act with each other. And my last note, I said, but what does Cass not know? And first of all, Justinian can go piss himself. I hate him already. I don't even know that man that much, but I hate him already. But I'm like, what does Cass not know? So the murder mystery part of this book is definitely starting to like take its effect. And I love that. So, hi. So that was a tale and a half. Yeah, so I finished Behind the Iron Gate. I have like 3 things before I get to that review. First of all, Allison, holy plot twist. Ma'am. What do you mean he ain't daddy? What do we mean that there's a detective that can kill him? Hey. What? Ma'am. I read that and I just went, oh. I like their relationship actually. She's like, "Oh, I thought you had a crush." And he's like, "I do." And there, for some reason, in my thing, I put, "Oh my god, the tisms are sinking. Help! Why is this so cute?" I guess I registered that as like the two of them like being on the same page. I don't know why I put the tisms were seeking. But I digress. Um, and this quote, when I opened my eyes, I remembered, what kind of fuck ass magic shit is this? I should have known then what I know now, that without really spoiling it, there was going to be some gods kind of interfering. I should have known then, but alas, I did not. I I read that and oh my god. Anywho, it's now we've reached the review, right? Firstly, thank you so much, Allison, and Behind the Pages for giving me this arc. Um, I I literally put in here. I was like, this is it. This is the perfect mix of mystery and romance, because the plot was heavier than the romance was. Um, like yes, it is forced. It's not forced proximity, like fated mates type shit. Okay, yes, it is fated mates type shit, but with the overarching story, now that I know it, it fits. And dare I say, I like this version of fated mates because it's not one of those, oh my god, you're my mate. Both of them are wary, mainly because they had Finn be like, hey, no. And so both of them were naturally very curious as to why they could not, right? Um, but also, they both value analytics over emotions, it seems. And so both of them like using their brain and being like, hey, what the fuck is happening? Like, Viviana does not delve too much into the emotional side of things, and it gets brought up in the book. Um, Not a lot, but it does get brought up a decent amount of times. She struggles with like human connection. And then you bring Casimir, and apparently her whole world goes tits up. A girl would be questioning that too. So I think for me, I think it was a matter of like, I liked how realistic it was. Because it was. It was very realistic, at least in the point of like, why are we so attracted to each other? Oh, that's why. I think I enjoyed that. But the plot was heavy. The magic, God. I am definitely going to have to read the original trilogy now because, like, I'm intrigued now. I ain't gonna cap. Um, but I really enjoyed this. It was like a 4.5, I think, a solid 4.5 for me. Um, I really enjoyed it. And if anybody is looking for a mystery type thing, And for me, when I say mystery, I do mean it's a very fantastical mystery because you're necessarily along for the ride with them. Um, you're trying to solve this too. At least I was. Can't even cap. Um, so, mystery fantasy 4.5. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Um, and there's not much else for me to say other than I'm going to go read the original trilogy after my arcathon.